think Kai's on his way. Hello.
Nice to
I'm
meet
Olivia.
you. Nice to meet you.
This is an interesting place to meet.
Yeah, this is a reservation. A friend of mine is the grandson of the Chief Crazy Horse when he was alive. He passed somewhat recently.
Okay.
And so he used to bring me through here when all his family lived out here and they do their Native American thing. They taught me a lot, and I know this land still has its purity. It's a sacred land. They're the Powhatan tribe, actually, is the tribe who...
What's the tribe again?
Powhatan tribe.
Powhatan tribe.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
You don't mind walking, do you?
No, I don't mind. No offense, but the people would like to know, how does a black magician go to prison? Black occult magician go to prison?
No, I don't take offense to it. I know better than most people that if you're a powerful occultist, if you're really powerful, if you're at one of the higher levels, because they gauge this. The higher ones, they actually gauge the power levels of your average occultist or your average occult organization. And if you're on the higher levels, you're not gonna go to prison. You know, that's not, they are way beyond that. They would see that kind of thing coming a mile away, and they would have myriad ways to avoid imprisonment. The only way a powerful occultist ends up in prison is if he's betrayed. Not only by whatever order, Bazang or secret society he's into, but by the spirits, by the gods themselves. And that's my scenario. I was involved in a really high level, the power level, the things that they could do, very high level. And nobody was going to prison for anything. I had a falling out with my situation, and that's how I ended up in prison. I was set up by the spirits themselves in my order.
Wow. Would you like to explain to everyone why you decide to come out to the public and you're no longer on the Darknet?
Yeah, the symposium, when I got out of prison and they showed me the new publicly available information that's running around in books and things. Years ago when I was out, there wasn't the information that was available didn't go but so far. Now you can go on the internet and look up ways to conjure a spirit, you know, spirit evocation, you know, there's you know, all kinds of higher level spells even that's available in publicly available books that, you know, is different. That's not how it used to be. Case in point, it came to my attention that, you know, there are occultists that are going way outside of the bounds of being a responsible occultist. You know, they told me that some are even speaking of ushering certain, you know, infernal beings back into this world and things like that. And people don't understand what they mean when they say this. And when I speak of infernal beings, demons, devils, and the like, I'm not speaking about them like as if there's some big bad guys or whatever like that. It probably would be worse if somebody was ushering back in one of the monotheistic gods, to be honest with you, because if you look at the history of that, that'll show you that, you know, more millions have been enslaved, raped, tortured, you know, from little girls doing the witch hunts to slavery to the American Holocaust to the Native Americans. So there is no, I don't have a bias against the demonic forces or whatever. And I've met many of them. At a symposium, that's what we do. We conjure beings, we interrogate spirits and gods and You know, we even oppose some of them. We've even battled certain, you know, gods and spirits. So it's regular to us. Nevertheless, my problem with hearing that people are taking it to that level is that they don't quite understand what's really going on, the nature of the relationship between the human world and the spirit world. They don't understand the how it corresponds exactly. They act as if spirits, gods, demons, fairies, like as if when they're not dealing with humans, that they're like in stasis somewhere, like they're just not doing it. No, they live in their world similar to our worlds, and they have lives, they have agendas and conspiracies, motives, and they all, when they deal with us, they have a reason why they do it. Most of the forces that deal with humans of this planet are not doing it with our best interests in mind. Some are, but most aren't by far. Our world don't get this messed up, as violent and corrupt as this world is today, without a hell of a lot of corruption in the spirit world.
That was quite interesting. Tell us more about the correspondence between this world and the spirit world.
It's funny you say that. In front of us, this is the crossroad of this Native American reservation.
Okay.
This is where a lot of rituals get done. There's a lot of energy in crossroads. It's somewhat like the microcosm of the ley lines, interconnections, you know, those nexus points. But yeah, it's so much that people don't know. I only know this because I was initiated into a secret bazang. I was inducted as a young man into the Sikh society, and I was given a lot of secrets. She was generous with giving us information because she wanted us to be her soldiers, you know, her spies and assassins for her secret society, you know, against other secret societies. And we were young, and I was rough coming up in a sense of being into street gangsterism. So she figured that she was going to parlay that energy into her own devices. And for quite a while, I was being trained by her and by her spirits. And so I was given a lot of information that most people don't know. The information I'm going to give you, see, not even a lot of spirits and gods would be willing to part with it about a lot of things that I'm going to tell you. And trust, we've asked many of them for certain things. If you're not initiated to certain pantheons, or if you're not, you know, intrinsically related to certain spiritual forces, powerful spiritual forces, you're not going to give us so much information from them. Anyway, to answer your question, there is a metaphysical table of elements that shows that the elements that are used in spell work, in spellcraft, this is pervasive of all traditions. They only work because there is a energy, there is a force within everything that has some type of energy to it. From things we know of, like gemstones and their specific energies, from the starlight of astrology and how the stars all have certain qualities, certain energies. Well, that's even the same thing for things that are dead. You know, they carry a certain energy. You know, all the ingredients, from the herbs to the roots, everything has something that could be used if you know how to use it properly. But it gets more mystical because you have to add your own intention, your own mental vibratory rates, your own mental vibrations. You have to add that to it oftentimes to get things to work. My point is that everything is about correspondence, especially when it comes to mysticism, but when it comes to reality in general. In much the same way, the physical world corresponds to the spiritual world in every way. It's funny that we was talking about everything has energy. This tree right here, this is a female tree. You can tell from the split, and it's dead, and it's pouring out death energy. Detritus is actually the scientific term for the death and decay energy. You know, it's entropy at work. Entropy doing its job. Our job is to stop entropy. Entropy's job is to destroy everything. And but entropy, even though it destroys, it's still, the life that is destroyed still maintains energy. Even though this tree is dead, it still could be utilized in a lot of magic. And when I was younger, or when I was with the chief of this reservation's grandson, and he was teaching me about things, he taught me a lot about the use of tree magic. Anyway, that's what I was saying though. Yeah, like the law states, as above, so below. This world corresponds to the spiritual world in every way. Absolutely, intrinsically, in every way. And the mirror to that is how humans and spirits are connected in every way. Before this life and after this life, we're very connected. Now, the events of this world are more manipulated and controlled by spiritual forces than people could imagine. Whether any group, whether any family knows it or not, they are tied up with some spirit, some spirit, some God, something spiritual. You know, everybody has that kind of connection. The higher occultists are aware of it. That's what separates them from the mundanes. They're aware of it. They know. You know what I mean? The Skull and Bones Secret Society. They know who is their spiritual patron. The Illuminati, or at least the original Illuminati, they knew. You know, they even had as a symbol the Owl of Minerva, even though in the beginning they weren't just occultists. You know, everybody's seen, you know, the Bohemian Grove and you know how they do this. They're consciously aware. They have a priesthood. They're consciously aware of the spiritual forces that surround them. The difference is between those like the Skull and Bones in the Bohemian Grove and the Native American shamans or the African crossroad traditions is that the shamans, the Asians, the black people, they have to focus more on the magic than do, say, the Skull and Bones and the Bohemian Grove. Even though they do their rituals, their lives, they have so much money that their lives aren't really, they don't have the necessity to always use magic for this and that. But quite often, some of the more disenfranchised groups, they do have to use it for any and everything. And they're very close to the spirits who they deal with. But all those spirits, like I said before, they have agendas. They have conspiracies. You don't really know what they're up to. And as for the crossroad orders, you know, we just past the crossroads. The crossroad orders, Yoruba or Ifa, you know, Palomayombe, Haitian voodoo, New Orleans voodoo, Dominican voodoo, you know, Santeria, Quimbanda, Kundomble, Umbanda, Shango tradition, Winti from Suriname. All these African crossroad traditions, you know, they were born and bred of something different when they were created. So it's extra complicated when it comes to their relation with their spirits and why their position shows how something is wrong. You know, I mean, if you look at China, you know, if you look at the triads, you know, they worship. They have elaborate rituals to the god Guan Yu. You know, if you look at the Yakuza, the same thing. You know, and China's head god is the Jade Emperor, and you know, and he represents richness and you know, becoming stronger. And when you look at the state that China's in, you see they're trying to get stronger, and they're definitely getting richer. You know, and the higher secret societies even coming from over there are very, very, it all works the same everywhere. They're very, very in touch with the spiritual forces of the places, of the spirits of their places. You know, it's tied up, you know, it's tied up. But where people are going wrong is that they're trusting these beings. And when I hear somebody tells me that there's guys that are trying to rally up people to call up infernals back to this world, I mean, it shows me people don't understand. It tells me that people don't understand the nature of the spirit beings. It's more realistic than you think. These are basically, you know, they're higher than us evolutionary-wise, but we all keep this thing going. They're not necessarily higher or better than us. They're just more powerful. The people, the infernals, the one that run the hell worlds, this isn't relegated to Christianity or Islam and their belief, the belief in their form of hell. Way before Christianity and Islam, you know, there was always talks about hells. And one of the most popular ones is the Dayu in China with King Yama. You know, he's their devil and he runs their hell. They talk about it in Buddhism. They talk about it in Taoism. They talk about it all over Asia. And he's not demonized over there the way that the devil is, because of monotheistic traditions. The devil in the Western world, he's not demonized the same. Nevertheless, their functions are the same. These are people who run prison worlds. These are wardens and high correctional officers of prison dimensions. You know what I mean? They oversee people's torture. You know what I mean? The real hell that is connected with this part of the world is you don't stay there forever, and you can get bailed out if you have the right connections. But nevertheless, the monotheistic concept of you know, a place where people are tortured and there's fire and there's whatever, that's true. Even though some levels of hell is cold, there are our people have done experiments, and some people, when they get possessed by a archdemon, they blow out steam, or not steam, but like, you know, when it's cold out, because they're from a certain layer of hell that's really, really icy cold. So not all of hell is cold. Either way, it's a prison place. It's a place of punishment. It's a place of torment. And the people who run it are naturally hardcore guys. And that's my only thing. It's like, you know, people got to think about what they're doing. It's like, do you really want to be wrapped up with some prison warden spirit dudes? Like, you really want to usher them back in? How do you think that will affect the world? You bring a bunch of fucking correctional officer spirits here that run prisons and torture people or oversee their torture, you know, for who knows how long, how many millennia. You know, you gotta be a hardcore guy to have a job like that, and you gotta have some kind of lack of empathy, lack of compassion, lack of something. And I don't mind them. Like I said, I've met a couple of them, and they seem like cool guys. Just as cool as, you know what I mean, any other one that I've met. Or at least as cool as, you know, most of the ones I've met. I've never seen them coming like, when they come, you know, some of them are even very sophisticated in the way that they, you know, conduct themselves. But I've met a lot of spirits, a lot of pantheons all over the world that I've met, and they didn't stand out to me as, oh wow, they're extra evil. No, they seem like cool guys to me. Nevertheless, I'm not going out my way to do anything for any of those pantheons as it pertains to something that could destroy everything. And whoever these people are who are talking about ushering them back into this world in a way more concrete than just simply doing a ritual and summoning them. No, if you're talking about, you know, helping them open the gate to bring them back, do you know what could go wrong if one of these idiots do the wrong thing? You know, because I'm sure you've seen an Exorcist movie,
imagine,
right?
yes.
Yeah, you've seen an Exorcist movie. You know, the demons and the girls puking blood and she's poking herself in the private. Imagine that happening to 1 billion people at one time. You know what I'm saying? That could happen if you unlock the wrong trouble gates. That could happen. That could happen, and that was a fear of some of the old sorcerers from the old days. You know, that some stupid idiot was going to open the wrong trouble gates, and all hell would break loose, and the world would be in pandemonium. Do you mind? You afraid of the jungle?
No.